Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns after a week hiatus because of the Grand Slam of Darts. Myself, Phil Bars, Jack Garwood and Dan Simpson are here for the next couple of hours to talk you through everything darts. And by Christ, is there plenty to talk about. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we?
What the is that behind you?
You know.
So what you lot won't see is, so when we dial into, like we access this software, when I came in, Phil was already here and I'd sort of logged into the system. And what you missed, God, was he had the Christmas tunes belt in full blast as well.
Yeah, I have the Christmas TV music channel on constantly. That and Magic. Normally he's listening to either Magic or Smooth when I tune in because he is awesome.
Oh, man.
Let's not forget that.
It's tragic, isn't it?
You two are considerably older than me.
We have managed to put it off a little bit. I've kept Mrs. S and the kids at bay. We've not. That second trip into the loft hasn't been made yet to bring down the Christmas decorations. What I need to do at the minute is I need to fill up the weekends full of like activities and things, plan loads of days out, so there isn't time for another couple of weeks. Yeah, I do think we maybe need a flashing lights warning on the stream, Phil.
Oh, it's Christmas. I hope everyone is good.
No, it's November.
What's that?
It's November.
What's your point?
He's not Christmas.
It is. They've started talking about the Ali Pally. We've seen the Christmas ads. They've put the lights on in London. They've put them on all over the UK. It's bloody Christmas.
I also know that someone in this group has been doing some Christmas-themed creative writing as well. So sometimes those in glass houses need to write down.
There's a reason for that, isn't there? Because I'm just trying to get ahead of our content plan. That's work.
Chat room is rammed out. Is in. Bob, how we doing? Shouty, Kieran, how do? Daniel is in. Owen Carl from Darts Tracker, how are we doing? Cameron, Adam, James, good evening. Chris, hope we are good. Tony, how are we doing? Oh, it's rammed. Sam, Connor, Andrew, how are we doing? God, loving this.
Anyone would think there'd been quite a bit going on in darts lately, wouldn't they?
Yeah, Ross, Bob, Josh. Oh, man. Adam, how are we doing? This is
Connor, have a look behind him and then ask yourself that question again.
Right, everyone, we are going straight in. We are going to the Grand Slam of Darts, and by Christ, what a tournament. It had a little bit of everything. It had incredible darts. We saw some shit darts. There was stories. There was a bit of beef. You name it, the Grand Slam delivered.
It's still the worst major on the calendar.
What?
It's still the worst major on the calendar. I'm not letting it get away with a good showing of a tournament going. There is still a shitload wrong with it.
But there's sometimes, I think that what there is, and that's a bit like the Premier League as well, is what you need to do is you need to get all of that out of your system before the first dart is thrown, and then just try and put it in a box and enjoy what is like complete and utter chaos for a few days, and chaos is fun. So complete chaos. Then we had like so many wildcard runs and obscure results and monster performances. I think it was a superb tournament. It was really, really, really good. For, again, not just the standard of darts. I think right across the board, just it was incredibly watchable. And yes, there are, talking points about the structure and the format of the tournament. But once it was underway, mega.
Yeah, I'm with you. Jono, we will come on to that. Anthony, hope you got back all right last night. It's still a little bit sore, but it's not too bad. Yeah, look, there was shocks in the group stages. Big names going out. Seeds tumbling all over the place. And by the time we got to the end, Rob Cross was the last seed standing. He fell as well. It was just general carnage.
It was one seed into the quarterfinals. And then I think that must be the first time ever in the tournament's history we haven't had a seed in the semis. I know someone will have said that if that was the case over the weekend, but I had to flick back, and I don't think that's ever happened before, has it?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Well, I'm going to tell you that it's a fact, and someone can prove me wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it's the first time we've ever had a seedless semi-final.
How are we doing, Matador? Hope you are good. Yeah, look, that's the two massive names that fell in the group stages, Luke Humphries and Michael Van Gogh. And look, for different reasons. Look, Luke Humphries, obviously, he's come out and said this, that his little boy had not been well and his mind what wasn't there. So, look, these things happen in any walk of life where family and that comes first and your mind's not on the job. But it was still a big surprise for him not to get through.
It's always going to be because of how dominant he has been since this tournament last year. And just the level of game. I think sometimes he's so good that when you look at it in a round robin situation and you look at the games that he had to play in the group, you would have thought, or conventional wisdom would have told you that even him not at the races, Luke Humphries on his worst day generally would be able to get through in the top two of a group with James Wade, Luke Humphries and Mickey Mansell, with the greatest of respect to those three players. And that was a big shock. I think certainly much bigger shock than Michael Van Gerwen, where I think we all agreed the week before, as soon as the draw was made, that it was the group of death. So it was all anyone not getting through to that group would have. You can sort of think, oh well, they've had a shit draw. It is what it is. But Humphries is a big shock. But it's difficult to really describe how challenging it can be to function properly if there is a problem with your kids. If that problem certainly is a serious one, it's a medical problem. Like, I've been in that situation before. I've took a phone call at work and one of the kids is in hospital and you're not right. I can give two shits. Everything goes out the window at that point. Nothing matters. And depending on where he's at, even if it's happened days in advance and everything's all right, it still takes you a little bit of time to get over it and then be away from home and things like that. So, yes, it's a big shock because you'd always expect him to smash through that group. But let's be honest, he'll come again. Probably this week.
He probably will. I do have a growing concern for Humphries a little bit, despite the fact he's the world number one world champion and has been so dominant. I don't think that dominance is as big as perhaps it could be. The Grand Prix was a massive opportunity for him to go and add another title to the list, as was the European Championships. If you have a look at that last 8 draw, the way it falls, and the fact he hasn't been able to convert either of them before heading to the Slam and then having family issues, I think will be not a worry. He's still really nicely placed, but I thought he'd started to develop a little bit more of a ruthless streak and the ability to kick on and deliver whenever he needed it most. And that just hasn't been there for the last couple of majors. Look, he puts together a fantastic performance in his third group game when he's already heading home, but I know other things are on his mind at that point. It's just this weekend is massive for Luke and his ability to then go and retain the world title. Because if he goes down with a bit of a whimper again, or the draw opens up for him nicely, or whatever of those factors, and he's unable to convert once again from a good position, if he goes and gets smashed up by someone averaging 110, then fine. But I am a little bit worried just about that lack of cutting edge at that killer moment, that killer instinct that we'd seen from him in the early part of this year.
Yeah. Look, MVG going out was a big shock, though, especially after he beat Noah so convincingly in game one, then beaten by Gary. But against Ryan Joyce, that spark, that gear wasn't there when he needed it. Because look, Ryan Joyce didn't play well to beat him. Average 93.
Yeah, but so did Michael Van Gerwen. They both averaged 93, and he beat him in a deciding leg. I just think that was two decent players playing a short format. And I think that's one of the difficulties of that race to 5, is if that is a race to 8, maybe race to 10, can Michael either, he's got more opportunities to find that other gear that we obviously all know he has, or for Ryan to feel the pressure a little bit, having to front run, defending his throw. There's just more to happen. Some of those games that are first to 5, like they're just they just happen, and it's really difficult. If somebody throws all right, if someone's on throw and averages 95, you've got to do something monstrous to break them quick, or they'll just serve the game out.
Yeah, great. Bob, we will talk about Bo shortly. Don't worry, that is on the list. But I want to talk about Group H because we labelled it the Group of Death, and oh my,
it was class, wasn't
it? Wessel Nyman has averaged 107 for the tournament and got no points.
The overall performance across that group in the group stage was completely bonkers. The lowest single average, so across all the games, across all 4 players, the lowest average was one average of 99.
2. Rock had 2. He had a 99.06 and a 99.64.
Yeah. That was it.
Still, I'm rounding them up. They're tons.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, that's if you round down. If you round up, they're tons. And, just unbelievable play from all, Bunting's 103, 104, 106. Like, absolutely, I didn't say, what Nyman's done is, I mean, the maths doesn't work, does it? It doesn't make any sense to play that well. And then not only has he not got through, he's managed to somehow finish bottom of the group as well, which makes absolutely no sense. But I think that he'll probably take a lot of positive. That it's difficult to not take a positive from performing that well on a big stage, knowing there's lots of darts coming up and you qualified for everything. I think it can, even though he's gone out at that early stage, bottom of the group, surely he's able to take a positive from it.
Oh, 100%.
99.9% of the time, I'm going to sit here and apply my phrase for life. Don't be mad, be better. I'm not sure he could have been much better.
What do you expect?
I've looked back and he's not really like bomb doubles at key moments either. Like he's missed a couple in hand occasionally, but he's done bugger all wrong. He's averaged 14 darts a leg for 3 group stage games at the Grand Slam, and he's been beaten 3 times. It's ridiculous.
100%. It is mad. Just completely bonkers, but just such a good group. It was just incredible. Any other massive surprises or shocks from the group stages for you boys?
I was shocked and surprised to not see Chris Dobie in it, but that's another story, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
And Dean's an interesting one. Ed with the form, yes. To back it up again was solid. Tough group. Ross Smith getting out of it in the end in that shootout with Connor Scott. Connor started brilliantly. Will be no doubt kicking himself because of that unbelievable start in that opening game. 104 for him. I think we need to talk Chisnell.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. I think Chisnell, because it's not just the fact that he went out, it's the manner in which he went out as well. Losing all 3 games and only picking up 4 legs across those 3 games as well. He went out and he went out with a whimper.
Quite badly. And look, because there was an absence of big names, shall we say, no Aspinall, no Clayton, no Cullen and the like, and that list goes on a fair bit. No Dobie, one of the most informed players. There was conversation around Chisnell finally putting this record to bed and getting over the line. I don't want to hear that conversation ever again. Like, ever. Dave Chisnell could be the most informed player in World Darts. He could go and win every single Pro Tour event of the year next year and be in the final and win 99% of the Euro Tours. Until he gets his hands on a major trophy, I don't want any conversation about him winning one. Because it just isn't going to happen. I'm at that point now. I'm resigned to the fact it isn't going to happen.
I don't think it'll happen either.
Agreed. I think there's just too many people capable of it at the minute, and there are too many people that'll edge him out. I think the other 2 talking points probably are, and neither of them are particularly pleasant talking points, but I think at some point we have to mention Peter Wright because of just how bad it was. And I also think we need to mention Michael Smith because we're coming into a sticky time of year if you're not at it when you're defending that much money And he seems a mile away at the minute. He's gonna start rolling down that order of merit very, very quickly. And I don't know where it turns.
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation in a bit, and somehow, by some miracle, I'm still going to have to talk about him.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's got another one in him. I think it'll be announcement, swan song year, given the gift.
I don't think it is.
Taylor, a la Barney. He spoke about it last year, going, I'd love one more crack at it, blah, 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 blah. I think he knows. I think he announces whatever or has a conversation that next year will be his last, and then I think he gets that gift.
I don't think it is. I even if he announces it, I don't think he'll get
because
that,
it's
that handout.
like there isn't anybody else putting their hand up for it.
I still don't think they'll go down that route personally.
I don't think it makes sense to do so.
Not when he's finished bottom of the Premier League for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But moving on
back to DC quickly, by the way. The current world number, where is he? 6 and provisional world number 5 has this record in majors on his ranking.
Well, he was up until the result of the tournament yesterday. He was provisionally number 4, which, as we know, that golden top 4 can be quite important come March.
I genuinely, Littler's win yesterday has blown that conversation open a little bit because he was guaranteed to be one of the 4 invites. I don't think Chisnell is in that position. And therefore, I genuinely think there's one person who's maybe got an 80% shot at an invite and everybody else is a 50-50 at best.
I don't think...
right now.
All right, we've gone there early. Let's get it out of the way then. You started it. Chat room, get involved. The Premier League. Right, currently, as it stands, the top 4 at the end of the World Championship is Luke Humphries, Luke Littler, Michael Van Goen and Rob Cross. They're your 4. They're in at the moment. As it stands, who are your other 4 at the moment? Now, there is one name that everyone will say, but it's not happening, however much we'd love it. I mean, we'll talk about him later in the show, but Gary Anderson will not accept an invite.
Right. His name is in my 4 because of form. And it's fully aware with the caveat that Gary Anderson will not accept an invite. But as part of that, and part of what I was saying a couple of minutes ago, I think that gives him even more license to pick right for one final time. I don't want to see it. I don't think he should be anywhere near the Premier League. But if he is edging towards the end of his career, Gary doesn't want to be there. They've still got 2 nights in Scotland. And he gets a swan song send-off, blah, 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 that Gary has turned down. I don't see where else they can go.
I think it could be a very new look Premier League this year.
The other 3 are pretty new look for me. I've got Mike De Decker in.
I agree.
At the expense of Gimme. I don't think they go double Belgium, by the way, despite the UK Open win.
No, I think De Decker's inclusion removes Dimmy from the conversation for me.
Unless Dimmy wins the Players or goes deep at the World Championships.
Correct.
I don't think the rest of his year has been good enough. I've got Stephen Bunting.
I
thought
agree.
he was close last year.
Yeah.
Thought he was close last year. I
here.
think he's developed a new... He's got that fanfare at the moment, hasn't he? Like, everybody loves Bunting Mental. It was sort of growing last year, but now it's at the point where actually you can justify a Bunting Mental inclusion and that whole brand and go, yeah, that's good for us.
You've got arenas in Liverpool and Manchester, and the northwest to fill without potentially an Aspinall and a Michael Smith and a Joe Cullen and players from that area that might get you. So he's your fan favourite in the north, isn't he?
And my 4th player is Damon Heta. I think it's time. And that's not to say that Heta has done anything more this season than other players in that mix. But it's because of players that have been in the mix or that had the spots last year not having as good a season. I don't think they deserve to go back in. I don't think they've done enough to warrant re-inclusion. Whereas I think Heta has been putting his hand up consistently for long enough with form here, there, and everywhere. And I've got that Gary Anderson / Peter Wright as an option. I think one of those two, because there's 2 nights in Scotland, goes in.
See, I've gone, fairly similar but I haven't gone with either of those two. I've got, obviously, the Luke's MVG and Cross, and then I've got a slash on mine. Like, I've got a 1 or, depending on the next 2 results, because I've got Dideka, Bunting, Dobie, and then I have a Damon Heta / James Wade. Because James Wade could win the Players' Championships this weekend.
Absolutely.
And he is, whether you like what he's saying or not, some people do, some people really don't. Whether you like what he's saying or not, he is probably one of the most outspoken dart players on the planet at the minute. And sometimes that can be exactly what one of your Premier League players needs to be. Sometimes you need a pantomime villain, and sometimes you need a bit of nostalgia. And if you haven't got Peter Wright and you haven't got Gary Anderson, but you need a nostalgia pick, and I've gone Heta / Wade, because I think if Heta doesn't do anything big in the next 2 events, then I'd say James Wade. But if Heta makes a semi-final, if he gets this, if Heta has a run, semi-finals of the Worlds, quarter-finals of the Worlds, that's probably enough to get him to get him that nod, I think.
Yeah. Which for me means there's no Michael Smith. He's provisionally world number 15.
I think he's a mile away. Aspinall's a mile away.
Aspinall, right? I think by injury has got the ability to just. Did he qualify for the Players in the end?
Yes.
Just.
Right. So top 4, I agree with you. Don't worry, Anthony. We're getting here. So top 4, I agree with you. Mike Dideka, I agree. Bunting, I agree. My last 2, I've got 5 written down here. I've got Anderson ? Won't happen. But
you are not giving up on this dream, are you, mate?
but what I want is when they announce it, I want to know, was he asked?
Yeah.
That's my thing. Was he asked? Because if he wasn't asked, I want to know why. So I've got Anderson. I fully expect him to turn it down. Now, I don't think they're going to leave out the World's 5, 6, and 7 as it stands. So one of those 3 has to go in Clayton, Heta, or Chisnell. One of them has to go in. I don't think they're going to leave all 3 out.
We've both got Heta.
I'm going Clayton.
Yeah, I think because Clayton's had a decent record in there before, and there's no Gezi, they've had that Welsh connection to go to Cardiff with as well. That connection's a little stronger than Heta. However, if Johnny falls early at the Players and at the Worlds and Heta goes deeper, I think you have to go the other way.
I agree. But I'm saying as now, I think Clayton gets the pick out of those 3.
Especially as Clayton feels Dan's nostalgia requirement as well, because you do need established faces. I hate the fact I'm fucking agreeing with it. It's a load of shit. But they do want established faces that players can recognise and sing along to the walk-ons and all of that sort of stuff, that a casual who doesn't know anything go, but I know that's Johnny Clayton.
Which is why my last pick, I've got a rogue one and I've got a sensible pick. I think Van Veen is in the equation if he goes deep at the Players and the Worlds as well. I'm not saying win it. I think 2 good runs in there, he's in the mix because he ticks boxes. But if he doesn't, I think Aspinall still gets the pick as well, number 10.
That's disgusting. That is disgusting.
But that's what I don't say, but that's what I think.
Yeah. what you also need to add into that consideration is you said if Van Veen has an interest in players and worlds, is he not playing in the World Youth Final next week?
Yeah. Correct. So you could shoehorn the world champion and the world youth champion in. There's another storyline to it, which is why I think he's in the mix.
We also have to consider this year's been batshit crazy, and the world number 72 could win the world championships.
Oh, 100%.
I've just plucked a number out of thin air. That would be Jeffrey Desvan.
I was furiously scrolling down to see who you've picked there.
Malachi, thank you very much for the super like, my friend. Right, we are going to play a quick ad stroke segue because I can see our guest has arrived. So we are going to play this and then we'll be back on the other side of this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by the one, the only, the voice, Mr. Russ Bray. Russ, how we doing?
Yeah, we're good. Cheers, Barzy. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I am very well indeed. We saw you.
That voice is going to blow my speakers if we're not careful.
You listened along. What did you think about our potential Premier League 8s for next year?
I'll tell you what, I've got what you saw when I came on. I sort of caught the bottom end of it. Yeah, it's a tough one to call this year. You know, who do you put in? Don't forget, the Premier League is it's an exhibition of darts. So you've got chosen people. You don't get in there by right. I mean, I had to put the top 4 in, obviously, but you don't get in by right, you know. And what you don't want is to go to a Premier League night and it being dull. You want excitement. You want exciting players in there. You want this type of thing going on. That's the whole crux of the Premier League. It takes darts to all the different places in the country or over Europe there. So you need good players in there and you need exciting players. That's good.
Absolutely.
Very diplomatic, Russ.
Well, the thing is, Jack, at the end of the day, I mean, I can make an opinion now because I'm not up on the stage calling, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, it's listen to various things that you were saying there. You know, I don't know if you mentioned Schindler because don't forget we go to Germany.
Yeah.
So you know, you can have he's the German number one. He's someone, you know. What's the point in going to Berlin and not having a German there?
Yeah, agreed.
You have to look at all the different factors that come within picking a Premier League. You know, it's good call with Van Veen. I like that. You know, the kid. I've got to be honest. I called his final against Luke a couple of years back, and I honestly thought that Van Veen was going to be the better player overall. I'm not saying he's any worse than that, but I mean, Littler's been tremendous in what he's done. But like I say, the thing is with someone like Van Veen in there, you know, you've got the Dutch interest, obviously, because they go to Amsterdam and things like that. So that's another factor that you have to look at when you're picking a Premier League team or Premier League, you know, players.
Been a busy time for you, Russ. The book is
there
it is.
Well done, Ben. Come on, Jack. What's happening?
Mozzarella dip or anyone?
I've got a Waterstones where
$13.99 on Amazon. Come on. $13.99 on Amazon.
He's not even sent me a copy. What's going on?
I went to Waterstones. They saved me. Yeah.
I know it was going into Asda. I know it was going into Asda. I didn't know it gone in Waterstones.
Oh, you're reaching the middle classes now, Ross. It's got into
Hey,
Waterstones.
doing all right. Well, funny enough, Gary Wood, marker Gary Wood, he sent me a picture of it in Asda up in Newcastle. So
Hey, it's getting about, yeah. Waterstones in Middlesbrough. I phoned them up and they said, yeah, no problem, come and collect it. We'll stick you a copy behind the till.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well done, Dan. Thanks, mate. Come on, Jack. Get up off the
I've been laughing all day.
So the book itself, how fun was that to write?
Great fun. Great fun. It's funny, I got a phone call from Penguin Books. It's going back early, right at the start of the year, just after the Worlds. asking if I would do a book. And initially I said no, because I've got to be honest here, I'm not, for all of it, for all my mouth and God knows what else, I'm very much a private person. My family's my family, and I like to keep it like that. So I said, no, I wouldn't be doing autobiographies or anything like that. And the lady I spoke to, Lorna Russell, she turned to me and says, no, it's not that. We'd like to do a book, of you in darts. Not your life story, although, little bits of that come in there. And I said, oh, okay, then, not a problem. She said, well, what we do, we get a ghostwriter in, a guy called Ian Gittins. He ain't a ghost no more, is he? We get a ghostwriter in, Ian Gittins. He will go through everything. He will ask a question, and he will script the book. He will write the book from interviewing me. And we had about 7 2-hour sessions, I guess, something like that, where he was asking questions, this, that, and all the rest of it. It was absolutely brilliant. And how he's put together the book together, I've got to be honest with you, Phil, it is terrific what he's done there. I'm really, really, really pleased with it. They're very, very pleased with the product. I've had Hungary come in. They want to do it in Hungarian and things like that. So it really has, it's sort of the shelves running, so to speak. But great fun.
How many chapters didn't make the cut when it went for proof, and how many did you have to get rid of?
I mean, that, in all honesty, would be a completely different storyline. Trust me. That'd be that would be a different book. And I've got to be honest, I wouldn't do one of them anyway. That wouldn't be right. But yeah, I'm sure there's some stuff on the cutting room floor that he ain't put in.
Do you think darts and its colourful history, shall we say, and the way we've tried to change attitudes over the years towards like alcohol and smoking and stuff, is the reason why we haven't seen more books from players that have left the tour, etc.? Because there's so many stories out there, but you have to go to an exhibition or something to hear them rather than put it in press and it be all over the news.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually, Jack. I mean, a lot of people have done them. Marl's done a couple, Phil done a book, Eric's done a book, John Lowe's done a book, Keith Diller's done a book. All these guys and girls have done books. But for some reason, and I even turned in and said that to them when they asked me, I said, look, we just don't sell. I'm in that sense, it's, I'm not an A-lister. I'm known in my sport, but take me out of the sport, you're going to have odd people know who you are. But I'm not Schumacher. You know what I mean? They've done Schumacher's book and things like that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not Freddie Flintoff. These are people that everybody knows. Only people in our game know me. And similarly with the dart players, unless you are Phil Taylor, Luke Littler, and that type of person. So, you've got to bring realism into it, be realistic. And that's what I turned around and said to him in the front. And I think, again, that's probably why it don't really go potty on the books. I spoke with Wayne on his book, and he done all right. Keith done okay. Brissy done okay. John Lowe done all right. Like I say, we're not at this precise moment in time. Unless you're one of the real top boys, then you're not an A-lister.
What I think is a little bit different, and I think it's brilliant, and I'll tell you where I think it's a bit different to some of the others is because, and you've probably played a blinder as to the time of year that it's come out, is because it's not the Russ Bray autobiography, is it? It's not. So because it's got so much in it that is interesting, just all about darts, and you can find out all sorts of little things. But it's done. Anyone could write a book of facts about darts. You could get it from Wikipedia. This is how it started. This is what happened, and you've been able to obviously entwine your story and tales and references to the players you talk about within it. Or if I was if in the run up to Christmas, I would. There's loads of my mates have got into darts in the last couple of years since everything's took off a bit more. I wouldn't give them, and with the greatest of respect to him, I wouldn't give them Whale Maddle's autobiography for Christmas because I don't. They're not going to think, oh, great. Whereas this it's a bit more. If you've got people who are just getting into darts, it's not just an autobiography, is it? There's a bit of everything in there.
It's what's in the title there, Dan. It's all about darts, or certainly my involvement with darts. Early doors, all the different characters, a little bit what happens behind the scenes, and that type of thing. So that's what I liked about the book itself. Like I say, it's not an autobiography. There's little bits in there, obviously, about myself, but it is mainly about me in darts, and it is all about darts, and that's the whole purpose of the book.
Look, obviously, you've seen many things, but I want to take you back to last year. What was that moment like when you walked off of the Ali Pally stage, having Luke just served up a masterclass? What was that overriding emotion like?
I've got to be honest with you, Phil. I came off the stage there, but wow, it was a fabulous game for my swan song. It had the most viewing figures ever on Sky, something like 4.8 million or whatever it was, nearly 5 million people. And when I walked off the stage, I've got to be honest with you, right? We finished at, I don't know what time was it, 10 or something like that, whatever the time was. I never actually had time to myself till about 1:30 in the morning, because I come straight off stage, and you know what it's like. You've been there 1,000,001 times. Oh, Russ, can you go and do Sport 1? Russ, can you go and do this? Can you go and do that? I met Paddy Power, and I'm going to have a chat with them and blah, blah, blah. So by the time I had time to wind down, was around about 1 o'clock, 1:15 in the morning. And I thought, wow. But you see, I look at it like my book. I've closed the chapter. That chapter's now closed. Yeah. So now I'm not on the stage doing the majors. Yes. I thought, wow, PDC made me an ambassador for them. So I've now got other things that I'll be doing. So I've opened a new chapter. So that chapter being closed, it was, for me, chill out time, which ain't worked. I'm busier now than I've ever been. Which is lovely.
Do you still struggle to switch off? Because I could watch a game and in my mind it's like, right, I know the routes now, I'm setting up, or like the maths or whatever. Like I spend a lot of time with Owen Binks, who is so on it all of the time because he spots as well. I know you're still working in Asia and the World Series and stuff, but has that come yet, or is it still right? You see a screen, you see a dartboard, numbers.
Yeah, well, you know that yourself, Jack, in that sense. But the thing is, it can be embarrassing for me sometimes. People say, "Oh, you remember that game that you called with Bert Bloggins and Phil Taylor and blah blah blah?" I say, "No, because I don't." And that's the only things that stick in my mind are things like Phil's first 9 darter. Barney Taylor final of 2007, and some other odd games, and that's about it. And when you say about switch off, yeah, I do. Once I've done my job, I really do switch into, that's it done. I can now go from that, and forget about it, so to speak. Unless something particular happens, like Michael Van Gogh in 17 out of 18 perfect darts. They're the sort of things, or Fallon Sherritt when she beat Ted Everts. The first time a woman's beaten a guy at the World Championships. I called the very first lady that actually played in the World Championships. It was a Canadian girl called Gail King when she played Graham Stoddart. Won the first set, Stoddy shat himself, and it was great. But he ended up winning it. So it was good. But they're the different things that you do remember because they're standout things. If you ask me to say, Dennis Priestley played Eric Bristow, I say, oh yeah, great, probably. I couldn't even tell you who won because once I'm done, I'm finished.
Yeah, I like that. You got to see Luke Littler firsthand, and you gave him some encouraging words at the end of the final last year. But from that moment, did you ever envisage that we'd be here 11 months later and he's done what he's done?
To a point, yes. To another point, no. Excuse me, guys. I'll explain myself. No, because of his age and the pressure. I didn't know how he was going to take all that because, his kid is only 17. I didn't know how he would take the pressure. Hoping that he would be able to, which is great because his carefree attitude, he gets on his PlayStation thing or Xbox, whatever they're called these days, and that's his release. That's him now forgetting about that. That's his chill out. That's his release. So for him, in his own right, the way he is, I was hoping that the pressure wouldn't get to him. And he had 3 majors just recently where he went out first round, and he hasn't panicked. He looks at it as on the day. So to a point, I am not surprised where he's at. I'm very pleased that he is, because I mean he's pushed darts another level. He's got a lot more interest throughout the world and everything else. And he's the type of kid, I think, there's other factors to come in here over the next couple of years, but he's the type of kid that will relish being where he is and what he's doing. So yes, to a point, I did expect him to be where he is because he's that good. And like I say, with the other bit, the apprehension bit, like I say, was whether, his attitude, whether he could maintain the pressure. It'd be interesting to see this World Championship, because he really, they made him favourite. I mean, the kid's 17 and they made him a favourite. To me, Luke Humphries is still the best player in the world at the moment.
Yeah,
that's my personal view. Luke Humphries is, and I feel sorry for Luke, because Luke Littler took all the accolades of everything, and it sort of took a little bit away from Humphries, which, to a point, I think will help him. I think it will help him.
I think
so much pressure. Do you know what I mean?
I think Luke Humphries has enjoyed that, if I'm being honest, Russ.
Yeah. I think commercial-wise, it's been a shame. He could have had a lot more commercially, throughout the world, setting bits and pieces, all the rest of it, and Luke sort of overtook him a little bit on that. But I honestly think Humphries will win it again. I think he'll do back-to-back.
Well, the last person that won it for the first time was Michael Smith. And if you listen to him after 6 months, he goes, spent way too much time doing media. I was doing 5 days a week on the Premier League circuit. I didn't have enough time to take this in. I spent the rest of the time partying.
Exactly.
Humphries hasn't done that. He's still gone and represented him and the sport to a really, really high standard and carried himself beautifully. But because of the attention on Littler and everyone else within the sport as well, Luke's still been able to focus on his game, and it's showing him results this year. Absolutely,
Joe. That's 100% right. So Luke Humphries can go into this a very relaxed and very chilled out man. And in all honesty, the actual sex side of things suits his game through and through. Absolutely suits his game through and through.
Russ, obviously we know you're this global ambassador for the PDC now, and we know you love going to Asia and down under. But I want to talk to you about MSG this year, because the Saturday night in Madison Square Garden was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was packed to the rafters. They were singing. They understood the songs. It was like a Premier League night in the UK. Yeah. Did you ever see that happening so quickly in North America? Because you've been all around the world with the sport.
Well, we've done America, we've done Connecticut years ago. We've done Boston, we've been into Vegas, obviously. The problem with the American sporting system is if they've not got anybody at the top, they tend to push it one side. Baseball, they have a World Series with just them in it. It ain't right to me, but I mean, that's what they do. And American football, they're the only ones that really play it. So, that gets all the big coverage, because that gets all the big crowds, and that's all where all the big bucks are. Wrestling, come on, Jesus. I mean, it's, are you a fan?
Yeah.
I'll tell you now, I cannot stand it.
Yes! Get in there!
To me, Jack, it's the biggest load of tuck going. But
yes.
It's a multi-billion dollar, not million, a multi-billion dollar industry that someone's coined on big guys prancing around the stage, pretending to be world champions when they've already choreographed who's going to win it. It's everyone's bent, but to me that is nowhere near a sport. But it's mainly American orientated. So again, they will concentrate on those. Darts is not a multi-billion pound or multi-million dollar industry in America. So they struggle for that type of thing. All you're going to have is your avid dart fans from your various, players like Chicago's and the New York leagues and these type of people that will come and watch it. But having said that, Madison Square Garden on that Saturday night was unbelievable. It was sensational. Loved it. And it was good to see the American folks getting in there, getting involved and doing bits and pieces as well, So it's, I loved it.
we know that Asia is your passion as well, that Asian tour. We know that you absolutely adore it. And we've seen some of the players that it's producing. How long before we see an Asian really challenge at the elite level, do you feel?
I'll tell you what, ain't that far away. It's not that far away at all, believe you me. I was disappointed with Lawrence at the Grand Slam last week. He had chances. And the problem is the Asian guys are not getting the same high level competition as us Europeans, as us guys down this way. And it needs someone to come over and stay over. I know Christian Perez tried it. It's a tough call because he needs to keep going back home, and that's not easy. You need to base yourself in, away you go. Now, someone like Ilagan, who's qualified for the Worlds as well, Alexa Toyo, he's another guy that can do some damage. And one of my favourite is Paulo Nebrida, from all these three guys from the Philippines. Now, these guys can do damage. They can. All it needs now is to win a game. Just win a game and get through. Get a bit of confidence. Goto done it last year. Hugo Lung done it from Hong Kong. You know what I mean? If I can get these guys just to do that, I'm not saying go on and win it, but get it on the map like that, it'll be amazing. I just come back from India a couple of weeks back from their World Championship qualifier. Nitin Kumar qualified. Yeah, he's the best Indian player in inverted commas. There's a young lad there. There's a young lad there, 14 years of age. 14 years of age, who's their national champion. He absolutely mullered, and I'm on about mullered, Nitin Kumar. When I was out there a couple of months ago for the BRC, the Bengal Rowing Club Championship, for their big championships, he absolutely ripped him a new backside. And I'll tell you what, the kid's 14, and trust me, I'm working on him at the moment, believe you me, to get him over JDC and all that type of thing, because this kid will clear up. He's a big lad. He's a big boy, 14. And I'll tell you what, he's got the right attitude, got a lovely throw, gives you all the large on the stage and everything else. He can do some real proper damage. I got excited about watching this kid. It sounds so wrong these days, but I'll get excited about watching this kid, yeah, because it put me in mind of, I'm not saying as good as, but it put me in mind of Gian Van Veen and Luke Littler. So, again, watch his space. Hopefully I can get things busted up for him so that he can get himself out. But the kid is superb.
Like that.
I agree with you on the Asian tour as well. The players are fantastic. Mechanically, they're so sound as well. Like, if you ask me who's got the best throws in the world, I'll list 5 players from the Asian tour before 95% of the Pro Tour.
Absolutely.
Like, they're all. Muramatsu's got one of the best throws in the game from Japan as well. He just needs to learn how to apply it. And like I was having this conversation the other week, like if we never see Lawrence Ilagan on tour in particular, because he's a little bit older than some of the other names that you mentioned, he's 47 or 48 now. It will be a crying shame. But actually, because the Asian tour is so big out there and it's so expensive to commit and come over to the UK, and they are getting a couple more opportunities, not millions more, but like we said, the Grand Slam, the Asian Tour, part of the World Championships, there is a chance some of them don't make the jump, but I really hope you keep pushing them to give it a go. Because like, when we see Hugo Lung and Toilo, and they're all quality, they just need to be in an environment where they're playing the top quality all the time, where they can't have a game off, or they can't nurse their way through the opening 2 or 3 rounds with a 78 average and then have to step it up. They need to be at that top level all the time.
Well, they need to bang in straight away with a 90 average. You know what I mean? A late 80s and 90 average is what they need to do consistently. And that's the thing they're not doing at the moment. It's not consistent. They can do it. I mean, in all honesty, Nitin Kumar, when we was in India for their playoffs, he won all 3 championships that they run. He won all 3 with a 92, 93 and a 94 average. Now, that's good. That is good. And that's what I turned around and said to him afterwards. Come on, this is what we need. We need this all the time. He's a great kid, great attitude. Now he just needs to apply a little bit of pressure, have a little bit more confidence, because these guys, when I saw Lawrence, he just tightened up going for the doubles. knitting tightens up, going for the doubles because they're not used to being in that position. And that's what hopefully over the next year or two we can get going. COVID buggered us up for a few years.
Yeah.
Big time, because not only was it traveling here and things, you couldn't even travel in Asia. You couldn't fly from Hong Kong to Japan without visas and injections and being, a week in quarantine, all that sort of caper. So that sort of killed it for 2 years. And we're now just back on song again and just a bit better. So it won't be long. It won't be long.
Professional refereeing, Russ, obviously you've gone around the world with it and you're now a household name. Jack's obviously refereeing now and trying to get there. There's a real career path for darts, and maybe refereeing something isn't one that's been looked at enough. Jack, I know you're like, no, leave it alone so I can do it all. But there's a real career path and opportunity. On your part of your ambassadorial thing, are you looking at referees in other countries as well?
Oh, goodness me, I'll do a referee course when I go to Asia.
Nice.
Joe Mayer runs the Asian tour. We will go into, say, Hong Kong, yeah? And there will be 4 or 5 guys and girls, women as well. They will be there that want to be certified referees, is how we term it. Now, that doesn't mean that they call for the PDC. Basically, what it means is where they're in their own area, in their own place, their own city, their own country, yeah, they can mark or call as a referee under a PDC banner. Now, you know what I mean? They get a certificate to say that they're adequate and able to do that. If we go there as a PDC tournament, bringing the players over like we do with the World Series, they wouldn't be calling at those sort of things unless there's someone exceptional. And we've got that in hand for that type of thing. Also, in all honesty, watch this space, because we are now going to try and develop I've been on with Matt Porter anyway, to try and develop a referee marking training course for people that certainly like Jack, someone like that who's now experienced and been there and done it, even more so, to give them the opportunity, a chance to actually become a PDC referee, so they will get the opportunities that I've had. I didn't have to do all that. I was one of the first ones in there with Bruce and Freddie, so that worked out well for me. But only knows if I'd have had to go and do what you'd have to do, I probably wouldn't get anywhere. You know what I mean? But all joking aside, we've got something in place for that. That's something that we're looking at big time, and very soon.
Is that across Europe as well? Because obviously, with the volunteer marker scheme in the UK has been fantastic for a number of years. Yeah. Plenty of them. I know they've had issues in Germany for the last couple of years. It's not as bad as it was, but is that why we're seeing the likes of Lucas refereeing on the Euro Tour, so that it might encourage a few more to join the marker scheme and go, this is where you can be and work those progression routes in, especially in Europe, where Germany, the game's massive, the Netherlands, the game's massive, but we haven't quite had that come through. We've seen Marco as a referee, but actually nobody has really taken that by storm in a while now.
That's right. It's when you're looking at referees, you're looking at one, can I do the job? Now, obviously, can I count? That's one of the first things. But refereeing isn't just all that. Oh, no, mate, don't worry about mine. I've got to look on YouTube, see how many times I've fucked up. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, can I say that? Sorry.
When you played George at the Super Series the other week, you called him out on a added up mistake. It was beautiful.
What's that?
When you played George at the Super Series in that match of the week.
Yeah.
You miscounted and you had him on it. I was like, yeah.
he's one kid that oh, Jesus, him, Kirk, Hugh, and Charlie. The boys that are in there now, they just don't make mistakes at all. You know what I mean? But the other trick is you've got to be able to handle the players. You've got to be able to associate with the players and things like that. If something's going wrong or something ain't right, you've got to be able to deal with it. And you become your own character. You become your own person. And that's the most important thing. Not all the best referees in any sport or best people in any sport are particularly the best at their particular thing. But they're characters and they're relatable to. And they can get a job done. If something happens, there isn't anything, I can honestly say in my experience now, There ain't nothing that could happen on the world stage or any stage in the world that I couldn't deal with. Be it players, if they've got a bit aggy with each other or whatever, there's nothing I can't deal with. And, you know, I've dealt with it over the years, different things. But that's another aspect of the game. As well as knowing how to call, it's knowing how to treat different people, how you deal with things, and lots of things in that way. Which, again, will be within what we're discussing and what we're going to be putting together for early part of next year. That's all I can say on that. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun to be had, that's for sure. And, of course, it's giving people, like you say there, Phil, it's giving people an opportunity now to become a referee and earn a living. You know, it's a good living. Well, yeah, but it's a good living. It's a good living to be had. Yeah, you make it, you get there.
I'll get there.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, it's well, it's great fun. It is good fun. It's something that if you really want to do, it's been created now. That actual post as a professional darts referee has been created. Me personally, I like to take a little bit of credit on that, because when we first started, don't get BDO boys was all at that given time, that was all volunteers. It was all volunteer stuff. So when you had the embassy and things like that, all the referees, all the officials done it at their own time. No, just got expenses, I think, and that was about it. So when we come to the PDC, we started getting paid for it. Well, Bruce and Freddie were already retired. So to them, it was just a bit of bunty. So it wasn't really them earning their living out of it. Me, I was a scaff, you know, and I was trying to make a living out of it. And I eventually made a living out of being a darts referee. So I would, professionally, I would say I was the first professional darts referee that there was, because I actually made a living out of being a darts referee, as opposed to anything else. So when you got like the guys now who are making a living out of it, that's you know, I'm pretty certain I was a forerunner for that.
You said about dealing with anything on the stage, and we've seen you deal with it, we've seen George deal with it, and it happened again this weekend. That whistling from the crowd, obviously, it happened in the Decker game. You're on the stage when it happens. How difficult is that to deal with, and what can be done? Because we were talking about it, that I don't think it will change until a player walks off or something like that.
Well, that's the last thing you want. That's the last thing you want, is a player walking off or taking off the stage. It needs inside policing. What it needs is the security. Actually, our security boys are only allowed on the perimeter. They're not allowed into the arena. So you can't blame our boys for that in any way, shape or form. They're there to protect the players should any silly sod try and climb over the barrier or do anything daft. That's what our boys are there for, the protection of those. Now, the in-house security, they're the ones that should be dealing with the guy or the person alongside the idiot whistling. Yeah? Oh, could you not, if I was stood in the crowd and somebody beside me, I'd be like, oh, mate, right, turn it in. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it needs. It needs the crowd themselves, and it needs in-house security. As soon as the geezer whistles, throw him out. Put a big sign up before you walk in. Anyone found whistling while the game's on, while they're playing the game, will be ejected from the arena straight away.
Do you know, I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that. Because I've been shouting it.
Yeah, because it's the worst thing in the game. Yeah. I stand here, it goes through you anyway. The worst thing you can say as a referee is, ladies and gentlemen, please do not whistle. Right? Oh, you know, 3,000 idiots whistling. Because that's what will happen. That's human mentality.
Yeah.
Mind you, it did work for me in Germany at one point. So some guys are whistling there. And in the end, I just turned around and said to him, look, mate, we all know you can whistle, but please give us a break. When I turned around and said to him, and it works, everyone clapped, and it shut him up. That worked that way. But all you can do as a ref, ladies and gentlemen, please, the very best of order. Please, you know, that's all you can do. You know?
I think the criticism.
I saw someone had a whinge and a moan at I think it was Kirk that was calling him.
Yeah.
No, but there's nothing he can do. There's nothing. He got 5,000 people else, or whatever many it was in there. What's he going to do? Go down, get off the stage? Pulling him off the stage won't work, because I tell you what. I'll tell you for why that won't work, my personal opinion. You've got betting involved. Yeah? It's like causing a big disruption at a football match. Get the game abandoned, the bet goes down. Especially if your boys like Lukeman, you know, there's 15 odd down, and you've got a 10 on Lukeman or something like that. Yeah, go and bring it off, abandon the game, boom, the bet gets null and void, he walks away happy. And that's again another mentality that you would have to watch. If you took them off stage, bring them off stage, don't look good on TV, it's not good for the game. And you know, it's got to be dealt with in-house.
Anthony says he loves your new advert they played at the Slam, the old smart meter. We've got some questions for you from the chat room, Russ, as well. Question for Russ says, who in your career was the hardest in terms of routines and setup shots to referee?
Oh dear. I'll tell you what, it's a very, very, very good question, Jamie. I would have turned in and said someone like Eric Claris. A lot of you probably won't know him. He's called the Sheriff from Belgium. He was as quick, if not quicker, than Ricky Evans. I could even give you a story on that. Myself and Graham Fairhurst was at the UK Open at Bolton at the football ground. I was on stage 4. There was only 3 or 4 stages. I was on stage 4 and Graham was my marker. And Eric Claris wants 108. Yeah. And like I say, he throws as quick as Ricky Evans. And I didn't know where he was going, having not a clue. Eric required 108. He went boom, 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 that quick. Boom, boom. When I've looked, right, it's gone double 19, double 19, double 16. Boom, boom, boom. Right, I thought, Jesus, 38, 76. He's now walking past me. I've looked at him like that. He's gone to me. I've got the game shot. First off, I looked at Graham Fairhurst. Graham Fairhurst looked at me and went. So at the end of the day, I'll tell you what, we had a good laugh on that. But I would have said Eric Claris, and the other one was, he was actually an English boy, but he's by the name of Steve Brown, who went out to America again a long time ago. Yeah. Steve Brown, goodness me, he was all over the place. And that was a nightmare. But it's even harder now when you look at the kids that are playing now. You know, I mean, Luke and Michael Smith, you know, you just don't know where he's going. Or some bang bang, is it double 19 and something else? Oh, you know, it's tough to keep up with. But I would have said Eric Claris in that one, Jamie. Good question, mate.
Owen says, did you have a least favourite player to mark for, if any?
Not really. It's no. The slower the player, the harder it is for me. Because me personally, I've got the concentration of a net. And I will stand there, and if the player will stand there, certainly someone like Pipey, I'll get on well with Justin, always have done. But he'll stand there, and I'll be waiting for him to throw his dart, and I'll think, oh, man, I'm going to have a Chinese tonight. First dart's gone in. Prong balls. Might even have a bump that starts. And then you think, oh, Jesus, where am I? You know, in the game, sort of thing. My mind wanders when a slow game. Fast game, if you've got a mega fast game, very rarely would I make a mistake because you're concentrating too hard.
You're on it. You're switched on it. The slow games, like, they're all right for counting if you can focus. Yeah. But I've been locked up for the amount of different things I think about in the middle of a game.
Oh, man, so do I. Goodness
why was my mind wandered there? Because it, man.
And then the next thing you're wondering where you are in the game, you know? Yeah. So
they're the ones where you miss the you require because you don't look and you go, oh, bloody hell, they've scored enough to get to a finish.
I know. or the quicker player has thrown, yeah, and left the finish. And times I've done it a few times. So you require, when you look around, he wants 280 or something, you know, and sorry, mate, sorry.
Oh, brilliant.
Good question.
Yeah, we've got this one as well. How long before the world is too big for Ali Pally?
How long before the world's... the Ali Pally, don't forget the Ali Pally, got another hole beyond where we are. So the Ali Pally can extend itself again. You know, the same distance again. It's huge. It's massive. No, I think it's there to stay for long. Probably in my lifetime, that's for sure. So that's there for a good few years.
As a viewer, what did you enjoy most major-wise? Which major did you enjoy the most as a viewer?
As a viewer, I've always enjoyed the match play. Blackpool. To me, it's the most honest as well because obviously it's legs. You know, you can win more legs. You can lose more legs in the World Championship but win the match. whereas in the world match play, you can't. You know, you've got to win by 2 clear or whatever it is, however they do it, and whatever, you know, is on that given time. But physically to watch, I love one-on-one like that. And the world match play is great to me.
We get asked this a lot, so we're going to ask you as well. Who gets on your Mount Rushmore of darts?
Oh, right. What, 4 people?
4 people.
Don't all have to be players. Could be anyone from the sport.
Yeah,
anyone from the sport.
Well, doesn't have to.
Well, mine, in all honesty, mine would have to be players, I think, because I played beforehand. Taylor, Bristow, obviously. Taylor, Bristow. Who else would I say? That's a really good question, isn't it? It's a tough one. I would say probably coming out of not a player. If it was a non-player, it'd be Tommy Cox. He formed the PDC, and I've got a lot to thank him for an awful lot for. He looked after me as well quite a bit, you know. So I would have put Tommy Cox up there. And I'll tell you what, it would be only fitting, because I'd tell you what, I've probably seen the best lady dart player I've ever seen in my life. That'd be Bo Greaves. There you go. And I'm not being politically correct in putting a lady in there. Oh. But I'm trying to make, she's the best woman dart player I've ever seen in my life. Trina Gulliver was amazing. But in all honesty, this kid, Jesus, she's absolutely superb. So, yeah, there's my fault.
Before we let you go, one that's close to your heart. How was the Philippines as the new host of the Asian Championships?
Fantastic. Absolutely amazing. I've been out to Manila and I've been out to the Philippines. You know that, Phil. I've been out there, goodness me, 4 times this year. I'm back out there again in January for various trade shows and things like that with Johnny Mack. And yeah, it was brilliantly put on, because don't forget, the Philippines is the biggest darting country in Asia with the most players. They've got a fantastic infrastructure in there. The venue was sensational, the big casino place in Manila there. Absolutely amazing. The way they put it on, the way they do it, and the way they get it all together is second to none. Absolutely superb.
Well, Russ, thank you very much for joining us on the Live Lounge. Remember, everyone, Russ's book is out now. Christmas is along, so make sure you get your copy from All Good.
Also, Phil, by the time, there's also an audio version. I've actually done an audio version where I've actually voiced it as opposed to someone else. So there is an audio
right,
version.
so at least you've done something.
Is that available on
cheers, Jack. Thank you.
Russ, thank you very, very much, as always, my friend. And I will see you in Minehead this weekend, as always. But
yeah, we'll go.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Cheers, Barzy. Cheers, Jack. Cheers, Dan.
Right,
cheers, guys. Thank you so much, man.
I'll tell you what, boys, that was fucking incredible.
What legend. Absolutely.
That was brilliant.
I love it. What
absolutely top class from the one and only Mr. Russ Bray. Loved every single second of that. Right.
He's not in a bad life, has he? If my reffing career is half as good as his, I'm fucking set.
Yeah, absolutely sensational. Right. Back to the darts ahead, and we'll finish up on the slam quickly, because he spoke about Bo. I'm going to play this clip, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I need to start pushing myself. I think to get better. Do you know what I mean? I think I've got a bit stale, just doing what I'm doing. So I definitely want to look into 2025 as doing more stuff and just trying to play better and get more consistent overall, because yeah, I've just been very inconsistent this whole tournament. So but yeah, I know what needs to be done, so yeah, I'm sort of ready for that part of it.
You touched on getting stale. Does that mean things like Challenge Tour, Development Tour, and going and playing against the men more often? Because with the greatest of respects, the other women, that you're bashing them up on a regular basis at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe. I think I just know I need to start playing different people and obviously start pushing myself. I'm very stubborn in what I decide to play in and stuff, and it would benefit me if I was a bit more just open to playing different stuff and that. And yeah, that is definitely a possibility for me saying. And it's not the women's fault. It's just I want to be better. I want to be a better dart player than I am now. And honestly, I want to be more comfortable on the stage. And it's hard to get up there and just play there and then when you're not used to playing with all the top players. It's difficult. Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame they make you choose. I don't understand that. I don't know why they do it. I think it's stupid, but I would love to. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I wouldn't go on and win Ali Pally. I'd give it a good crack and see if I played well, but ultimately I want to be a ladies world champion, and hopefully I can do that again in December time.
That was a very big and surprising U-turn. However, I'm all up for that. That from the match play to now, that's refreshing.
It's a very different take, isn't it? It's not what we've ever heard before from her. And even though I'm not convinced that, or she didn't seem really positive in the way that in what she was saying, because she was talking about how she'd gone a bit stale, but I've took nothing but positives from that, because I don't think there is a darts fan in this, or I was going to say in the country, in the world, that doesn't want to see, as Russ says, potentially and arguably the greatest lady player we've ever seen, the greatest female that we've ever seen throw a dart. Of course, we want to see her in the big open events. Like, why would we not? And I think there's a lot of positives to take from that. And I also think that it can only improve her game. I genuinely believe that in that environment of higher level competition is the only way she will improve. I think she will plateau if she just sticks to what she's doing. I don't see how that game advances, but I think she's got more. I think she's got levels, but she'll only get them and achieve them if she's sort of pushed to achieve them. And she's got to be in an environment where she is pushed. So I think it's a real positive.
Yeah, it's like she woke up and put her big girl pants on, isn't it? Like, she's had fun for the last couple of years. She's done all the stories that we've heard and whatever else. Look, she still wants to go and defend Lakeside, which I fully respect as the current Women's World Championship. I know myself and Phil have had disagreements with this many, many times in the past, but that still is the title to hold as a female dart player in the world. I worry that maybe that interview was playing the room a little bit, but I pray it wasn't, because like Dan said, the level that Bo can achieve, the fact that she put Cammy to the sword the way that she did within the groups, and the way that we've seen her perform at the Super Series, etc. in the past, like, there is a huge career to be made as Bo Greaves, as a woman dart player, as a player in an open system, and the good that Bo can do in that system, inspiring the next generation. We've already seen that effect from Fallon, but I genuinely think that if Bo's in there mixing it up comfortably, as I think she can be, like, I'm not saying Bo's going to walk in, get a tour card and be top 64 within 6 months. I think that would be an incredibly unrealistic expectation on Bo. But I think she can go on, get a tour card, and more importantly, after 2 years, I think she can retain it, which is the ultimate goal. That staying power is important then, to prove that you belong at that level over a sustained period, rather than get it through Q school, lose it within 2 years. That's not to insult anything that Lisa did, but I think Bo can take that next step.
Do you think there's something quite poetic? And there is this thing in all sports, I think. There is something about doing something 3 times. Whether it's a hat trick, whether it's, we hear the triple crowns. There's just a narrative around sport that almost involves doing something 3 times. And we know she's a 2-time world champion. If she gets that 3rd WDF World Championship in the next couple of months, does that become a very natural point at which to say then, I am a 3-time champion, I have done it consecutively. It's a very natural point, isn't it, that to then think, well, where do I spread, where do I move my game onto now? How do I gain bigger competition? There is a case to be made that if you are, and let's be honest, a very comfortable 3-time champion. If that becomes the case, if she does win that 3rd title, then you could say that she isn't being challenged in that setting. Yes, she might be being challenged on the, whether it be the Dev Tour, the Challenge Tour, the Women's Tour, whatever other environment she plays in. But in that WDF setup, she's not being challenged and she's not being pushed. And if she does get that 3rd title, I think it's a very natural point to then think, right, I have to go on. If I want to develop my game, if I want to get better and see what I'm capable of, I've got to go and find a higher level of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we'd love it. Look, we all want to see her there. Also, I'm going to play this. This was after someone had won their quarterfinal and set up the showcase, but I'm going to play the clip because there's a glint in the eye. And Gob said, I want to see him produce on TV. I think he has now.
He was mustard, wasn't he? He was, yeah. It was good. So if I get a leg tomorrow, we'll be doing all right.
Well, on that tomorrow, you and Luke have never met. He said he can't wait to play you. Is the feeling mutual?
That could be good. It could be bad. You know what I mean? Well, Gary turns up, he might not get what he wants. Santa doesn't always turn up, But the way it looks, I mean, he's good. But like I say, let's give it a go. The amount of 180's had to his average, he should have been on about 125 plus. So there's a wee slippy somewhere in between. So I need to pick up on where he's making his little mistakes about.
The old Gary did turn up, and that semi-final is one of, if not the games of the year so far. It was an absolute belter, and all of a sudden, has Gary just played himself into World Championship contention? Because like we said before, we'd seen the blistering stuff on the floor. We hadn't on TV. Now we have.
I think the shame is that he didn't do this a little bit earlier in the year and then go quiet, because then there's some value on Gary. Now that he's like 6th favourite for the World Championships because of the form, because of the lack of form elsewhere. And I keep mentioning it. His record at Ali Pali is simply phenomenal.
It's that format
it is
as well.
One of the greatest you've ever seen in that building, and likely one of the greatest you're ever going to see in that building. If the world and the elsewhere, it's going to be very difficult to match the level that Gary Anderson has produced on top of Muswell Hill over the last 15 years. And the consistency and the fact that he just switches it on in that building. Even the year when he was playing crap and it's behind closed doors, he still goes deep in the tournament. Like, he's just got that ability to do it when it matters at that venue, and I absolutely love it. We were saying he needed one run on TV. This could be it. I don't expect much from him in Minehead. He absolutely hates that venue, despite it being the closest major of any to his home. It's freezing. He doesn't like staying there. It's not for him, so don't expect much this weekend. But now he's done it at the Slam, the one he wanted the most as well, which is possibly a little bit gutting when we look at this tournament as a whole. Luke Littler was fantastic. Brilliant performance. That game is arguably the final when you look at what transpires afterwards. That's not being disrespectful to Lukeman or Mansell, but if you look at the level that everybody's played at throughout the week and the level that they're used to, Gary versus Luke, whoever wins that goes into the final as a big favourite. Lukeman was 50-1 to start that tournament, I believe it was, for the what's the King of the Hockey bet. That's huge. Very, very big. And yeah, look, it was brilliant to see him back. Brilliant to see him free-flowing. And actually, to talk like that, most of the time it'd be, right, let's talk about the way the press is treating someone else. That time, he tried to play mind games. The problem was Luke was playing FIFA and didn't see it.
Yeah, and I also think it's there was a bit of a, Luke wanting to play Gary. And I know that Gary doesn't, because it's difficult to think of yourself, especially if you are someone who's achieved what he's achieved. Like, people don't want to play him. Certainly the younger lads don't want to play him because they think he's an easy match. They want to play him because they want to have done that. Like, there isn't a professional dart player on the planet that doesn't want the fact, that doesn't want to have, to be able to say, I played Gary Anderson. Nobody wants to, everybody wants to be able to say that. and it's got nothing to do with him being perceived as an easy target, or Littler thinks he'll beat him. I think surely as a darts fan, anyone wants to say, well, Christ, I'd just like to be on the stage with him because he's Gary Anderson.
Yeah. So obviously, as you all know, that we don't get to speak to many losers. And a couple of you else asked. So officially, did I speak to him? No. Did I speak to him afterwards? Me, yes. I had a conversation with him in the corridor because we were sorting out something else at the same time, and that glint is in the eye. He was like, the last time I felt, his exact words, the last time I felt like this was when I lost to Van Gerwen. And that was him coming off of a stage. I genuinely think something has gone upstairs, and Gary means business, not the switch off Gary. I think that this Gary is dangerous. Do you think that match with Luke Littler might have been exactly what he needed, just to almost remind himself what he really loves about that level of competition? Because I think that's what a lot of it is for Gary. Let's be honest, he's not here for the money. He's not here for he's here because he wants that competition, doesn't he? He wants to beat people at darts. And do you think that give him a bit of a reminder that how much he loves it and how much he wants it? Well, I again, Rob said it there, and I said it on social media, that there was a finish. I can't remember what he took out, but there was a celebration. We don't get them unless Gary is motivated. And it was a new Gary that I saw this weekend. It really was. And maybe worrying for everyone else. Look, he is getting older. And if he'd have beaten Luke, and that's an if, and it obviously didn't happen. But my concern is backing it up the next day, where the Worlds, he doesn't have to. He only has to play once a day. I think 2 big games like that may have been too much because he's emptied the tank. But 1 game a day tournaments, I think he's a danger. Really do. Back in the top 16 in the world as well right now, and provisionally world number 11. Only 1,500 quid behind the top 10. If Gary has a good weekend this weekend or a good world championship, right now he is only, what is he, 100k off of the top 4. That's winning this weekend.
He's also found himself unseeded a fair few times, in recent tournaments. And he's put that right now because he's gonna, we've seen some really, really ridiculous draws, and this is why I don't buy any of this bollocks about Littler in first rounds, because he's been an unseeded player, and what we've had to keep seeing is opening round matches. They're dream first round matches for a fan. If you've got a ticket for the first round, where else you don't expect to see a game like that. But we've seen Littler and Gary Anderson quite a bit this season as well, going into games which, for all intents and purposes, should be a quarter-final or should be a semi-final. But we're finding them in the first round because of the way the rankings system works, and Luke's had to get that money on his ranking to get through, and because Gary's had a dip. But as we come from here on, we're not going to see that anymore. And Gary is going to be seeded, and we're going to start to see him be able to play his way into tournaments a little bit more and build up a bit of a head of steam, rather than having to keep turning up and playing a top 10 player in the first round every time he goes to an event.
It's exciting. It really is. Also, we're going to play this one as well.
Oh, he is, but I still was. You know me. I'll take it with a pinch of salt, but the boy's he's just next level, man. I hit a ton, he go 180. You hit 60, he's going to go 180. It's just like, oh, leave off, mate. I'm just like, I hit a 32 and the whole place went ballistic. I was like, that's better than 9 darter. But yeah, look, I'll take my odds. like I said, it's just like he comes from cancer estate like myself, and he's doing the business. He's looking after his family now. I was right in the final, giving it all large with a crowd and that. But yeah, I felt good. The boy, he's just different, man. He's no Michael. You know, if he gets his head on, forget about Michael Van Gogh's records, he's going to beat Phil Taylor's records. If he keeps his head right.
Big statement.
It's right.
Martin Luke Man!
Yeah, genuinely, before we get to what Martin said, because I think there was some, like, he made some really interesting points that we want to pick up on. It is just worth highlighting, because I don't think we've done it enough justice yet, what Martin Lukeman achieved this weekend. Where he started the weekend, the way that he played, because this isn't like, it's not like he's chucked in and we've seen it. We've seen people, from that mid-section of the Order of Merit throw in a big performance at Ali Pali, or maybe put a couple of games back to back and upset someone that's big. But what he did was massive. Like, he destroyed Peter Wright. And I know you can talk about Peter Wright's form and everything else, but he destroyed Peter Wright. He didn't have a competitive match with Rob Cross in those group stages, and then he just got better and better, and he did up until the final looked like it was going to take a very special performance from one of the world's best players to stop him getting his hand on a trophy. He was superb, and also conducted himself throughout the entire week with a huge amount of humility, and like showed what a proper decent fella that he is. Like every word that he spoke was lovely. Like, just a thoroughly nice bloke, and really, really deserved that run.
Yeah, look, 100%. And he is such a nice guy as well, that he's spoken about it. His wife has gone through hell the last 18 months with her cancer treatment and everything like that. And look, so pleased that she's had the all clear now. He's openly spoken about this as well. And it was the passion in his voice, where he's best mates with Richie Edas. And he was just like, I want my photo on that stage with my wife on the trophy. The money's the money. I want that photo. And just listening to him talk was incredible.
Yeah. We're not there next week, but myself and Dan will be there in Minehead 2025, and we will be there shouting Martin Lukeman.
Yeah, there is a reason. There is a genuine reason why, in a multi-board room with multiple-time world champions playing darts, we were running up and down to make sure we didn't miss a Martin Lukeman match. Like we at the UK Open, we stood a metre from Martin Lukeman every dart that he threw, and there is a reason for that.
From stage 2, where we were late, and I was at the back, and I still made sure he heard me.
Yeah, he did. And it was like and there's an awful lot to see, but like we prioritised seeing Martin Lukeman, and if that doesn't speak, enough about what we think of him, then yeah, he's a top fella.
Yeah, 100%. Anthony, he is from Watford.
He's a Cockney. Born in Hammersmith, I believe.
Yeah.
Lovely part of the world.
But no time to rest for any of these players, because it is major season. And we are going to Minehead this weekend. And Dan caught me earlier as well. This should work if I go like this. Wait a minute. Share screen. That one there. Check me out.
I saw him practicing this, listening to Christmas music.
We are off to Minehead this weekend for the Players' Championship finals. This is the dress rehearsal, the last chance before Muswell Hill and Alexandra Palace arrives. And we've seen that this can play a part in Ali Pali. The stat beforehand, the winner of the Slam the last 2 years has gone on to win the Worlds, is perhaps a more interesting one. But the dress rehearsal is here this weekend, and there are players that need results, need victories. A lot on the line here.
Yeah. And look, there are players that need results for tour cards or whatever, but possibly the biggest race going on centres around our latest, most recent major champion. Luke Littler plays Rob Cross in the opening round. Luke Littler is provisionally £10,000 behind Rob Cross in the World Championship Order of Merit, or the Order of Merit that they take for the rankings and seedings for this year's World Championship. The difference in that 10, I believe, is position for player Luke Humphries.
Not just that, because of the sections that they're in, that also Luke Littler is only, I think, about 60k behind Michael Van Gerwen.
That's the one he needs to catch. Michael, sorry, him v Rob doesn't make a blind bit of difference. It's 10 grand.
It's
4 and 5.
MVG.
Littler needs to catch MVG to avoid Humphries in the semi-finals.
But
and he'll be fine on that front because Dobie will beat him in the third round. So Littler's got nothing to worry about. Dobie will just beat Michael. It's not a problem.
Right. So let's have a look at the quarters and let's go through. Chat room, get involved as well. So it's on the screen here for you now. Section number 1. Dobie against Aspinall. Willie O'Connor against Neil Zonneveld. Mike De Decker against Richard Vinstra. Michael Van Gerwen against Ian White. Luke Littler against Rob Cross. Ed House against Woodhouse. Good luck calling that one out. Danny Noppert against James Hurrell. And James Wade against Stephen Burton. That's an ugly-looking section.
It's horrible. Horrible section. What do you want?
Talk about the players like that.
What are we picking? Are we picking quarterfinalists?
Yeah, we're going to win the winner of each quarter to start with.
Right. Well, this quarter, well, I think we all know what I'm going to do here.
I know you're picking to win the quarter.
James Wade
You're right.
beats Chris Dobie in a quarter final.
You've just tipped Dobie to lose.
Mate, sometimes I like to manifest chaos. And if James Wade goes on a run, that is chaotic for everyone.
Where is this tournament being played?
Minehead.
What channel is this tournament on?
ITV.
And what
Correct.
time of year is it? It's James Wade wins an ITV major time of year. That's
James Wade
exactly
time of year.
Get that down in the quarterfinals.
Cobb knows it. He knows what's going to happen here.
So are you both going Wade to win this section?
Yeah.
Madness.
You bought Christmas lights, we bring James Wade. We are combating the happiness everywhere.
Madness. I am going for a Michael Van
Incorrect,
Gerwen
Mark, it's just one man.
quarterfinal.
He doesn't hate me and that. He doesn't hate Brand. He hates him.
Completely incorrect, Malachi. It's just
That's even funnier. That's even funnier.
I think Boy Wonder continues. Boy Wonder wins section 1.
But to be fair as well, in my hope is I do hope that is a game that we see on the main stage at Minehead, is that we get to see Littler and Wade. I think that's a game that I will enjoy if it happens over the weekend.
If it's 10-0, yeah.
Could fucking very well be.
I didn't say who, I just said 10-0.
Yeah. Well, there's only one way you'll get decent odds on it.
Section 2, Ryan Searle against Jeffrey de Graaf, Gerwin Price against Thibaut Tricol, Wessel Nyman against Kim Hybrex, Kian Van Veen against Scott Williams, Dave Chisnell against Joe Cullen, Andrew Gilding against Kevin Dutz, there it is, Ross Smith against Dimitri Vandenberg, and Wesley Placia against Mensur Sulovic.
Bottom half of that, the bottom half of that quarter is wank. And what I mean by that is it's not any particular player that's bad. It's simply that I don't want to watch any of those games. They're just not watchable. It's not that the players aren't good. It's that they're not watchable games. They're not pairings that you would ever want to watch. If you know, when you get tickets for an event and you don't know which, that you haven't seen the draw, if you find out that's the afternoon you've got tickets for, they're going straight back on Ticketmaster, aren't they? Ross Smith is beaten in the quarterfinal by Wessel Nyman.
Excuse me. What are you going for, Gob?
Dan is wrong. Sorry. Ross Smith is beaten in the quarterfinal by Gerwyn Price.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going to go with that. I thought you were going to go somewhere else.
You're going for Price, who's currently on holiday in Spain, not playing darts.
Mystic Me believes we're about to see a Gerwyn Price revolution.
I'm not sure he'll beat Thibaut Tricot.
Not sure he'll be there. Pull out last minute, but fuck it, I'm backing him at the minute. We're manifesting chaos, Dan. That's what we're doing.
Yes, we are. Yeah. If Price goes on a run, it's even
Commit
wilder,
to the
isn't it?
cause, Daniel. Commit to the cause.
Yeah.
Wesley Placia gets to the quarterfinal and he will play the winner of Wessel Nyman and Gian Van Veen. And I think it's going to be Van Veen, and Van Veen beats Placia.
No one's picking Ryan Searle for his home tournament.
No, and there's a reason for this. It's because he goes home all the time. He doesn't stay on site, which I don't think is a good thing. Traveling in and out every day, I think, does him over.
Richie Howson lives 6 minutes from the Circus Tavern and he still books a fucking Premier Inn for the Seniors World Championships because he wants to prepare in the same way of being at a tournament.
Yeah.
Vincent van der Voort lives in Amsterdam, yet when they play the World Series, he books a hotel because if he goes home, he has to deal with being at home.
Yeah.
I may have just dropped him in it there, but he's dropped enough people in it over the last 6 months. So,
to be fair, when we were at the World Seniors in Sunderland last week, I toyed with the idea of whether or not I needed a hotel just for a break.
Section 3. Stephen Bunting against Mario van den Bohada. Martin Lukeman against Connor Scott. Daryl Gurney against Peter Wright. Michael Smith against Dom Taylor. Josh Rock against Ricky Evans. Alan Suter against Jermaine Watamina, or Watamina as Rod Studd kept calling him. Johnny Clayton against Florian Hempel. And Dirk van Duvenbode against Callan Rids.
Doesn't get easier, does it?
I'm feeling it. Oh, he's in the next one anyway, not him. Wrong Scotsman. He's Northern Irish. Ignore all of that. Johnny Clayton beat Stephen Bunting.
Bastard. Stephen Bunting beats Johnny Clayton.
Johnny Clayton
Go, Johnny, go.
beats Daryl Gurney.
Oh, and a shout out for Ricky Evans, who will probably have the best average of the tournament but lose first round.
Yeah, it'll average 101 and lose 6-5 to Josh Rock.
I really do love Ricky. I think he's had one of the unluckiest seasons I've ever fucking seen in my life.
100%. And section 4. Damon Hetter against Mervyn King. Christoph Ratajski against Madas Razma. Raymond Van Barnard against Chris Landman. Luke Humphreys against Gabriel Clements. Gary Anderson against Ryan Meikle. Brendan Dolan against Martin Schindler. Cami Menzies against Jim Williams. And Ryan Joyce against Karol Sedlacek.
No. Who wasn't listening earlier? Gary hates Minehead.
Yep. But he wins. He wins his first two, though, doesn't he? And he gets to the quarterfinal. He just gets beat by.
The problem here is if Brendan Dolan beats Martin Schindler, Gary Anderson plays his second game on stage 2.
I don't think so. I think ITV insist on Gary on stage 1.
Do you think Gary's bothered?
No.
Yes. Do you not remember the when he was put on the outside boards as world champion? Yeah, you fucking do.
Couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah, you do. Do you think
of the phrase that he may have hurled at certain officials?
Do you also remember his experience of Minehead earlier this year, Philip?
Yes.
Yes.
Damon Heta beats Cameron Menzies in the quarterfinal.
Andrew, I'll start your question. We'll come back to that. Go.
Bear with me on this one.
Are you going for Madas Razma to beat Sedlacek or something?
No, I'm going for Razma to lose to Martin Schindler.
Interesting.
The draw will open up when Humphreys beats Clemens but then loses to Barney. Heta does King in but then loses to Razma. Razma does Barney because Barney would choke it. And then this who you want from the other half, and I'm going Shindy.
I am going the quarterfinal, Luke Humphreys against Gary Anderson. I'm going Luke. I think Luke beats Gary in a close one.
Doesn't feel like you're manifesting enough chaos there. Can you try again?
Ryan Meikle beats Chris Landman.
Fucking beautiful. Give me some of that.
Okay, Luke Humphreys beats Gary Anderson in the quarterfinal. So, chat room as well. From your quarterfinalists, I would like your winner and your runner-up of the 2024 Players' Championship Finals.
Oh, God.
Do you know we manifest chaos? This is the bit where you look back and go, how the bloody hell have we got here?
Yeah, this is I've done myself in here. I've made myself look silly.
Because I have a Wade, Gezi, Johnny, Schindler last 4. That's not terrible, actually. Gezi beats Johnny, all Welsh final.
No. Heta beats Wade.
You really are manifesting chaos after your Premier League prediction earlier, aren't you?
Exactly. Like, but this is like, but the draw works for it. The draw, it works. I don't sleep on this stuff. There's thought goes into this.
You know when a comedian just makes a throwback to something they said in like the fucking first bit of their set? Bang. Dan's a genius.
This is what I do.
Bars is going to ask, does he think with his head or with his heart?
No. I've got mine already. Johnny Clayton beats Luke Littler.
Oh, well, you've blindsided me there, Phil.
Fuck me, but all of us have got the ferret going deep, poor bloke.
Yeah.
I love Johnny, but fuck me, just been bashed up 6-1 by Foreign Emperor.
We've just stitched Johnny up here, haven't we?
Yeah, we absolutely have. Poor lad.
Oh, our condolences go to the Clayton family.
Florian Hempel is currently the happiest man in darts. He's pissed through the first round. Not a problem.
Oh.
One, Daniel, that's definitely not true. And 2, you won't have to play Littler. We've all got him getting knocked out a bit earlier. So, sorry, Anthony.
Oh, I love the chaos of Minehead.
Well, that's what everybody needs to remember as well. Is that this is a ridiculous tournament because it is. It does stupid things, strange things happen. It's an odd venue. The people there are all bananas.
Well, the production team and talent have been told to prep for extreme cold weather, and it is currently snowing in the middle of the country around Nottingham.
I'm very confident in saying that the coldest that I have ever been, was in Minehead in November at a Players' Championship finals. And just when I thought the weather had completely defeated me, and I just wanted to, I didn't know how to cope with how cold it was and how windy it was and just how grim the weather was. Anna phoned me and let me know that the roof had blown off our house because there'd been a hurricane in the northeast as well. And it's just that it's a ridiculous time of year for anyone to do anything and go anywhere. It's horrible. Let alone play darts. Anything could happen.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving weekend in the States as well, isn't it, TJ? I forgot about that.
Isn't Thanksgiving next weekend?
I just kind of threw
Minehead this weekend.
Oh, isn't, sorry. Well, I've got it on the small screen. Isn't Thanksgiving? Yeah, but I'm just looking at the MVG. I know he's not playing well, which is why I haven't got him there. But his record of getting to the final in Minehead at this is ridiculous.
Minehead is in the southwest of the country, so if you look at the UK and it's got that pointy bit, it's like at the start of the pointy bit. Not the extreme pointy bit, but the start of the land getting wider.
Right, if it snows in Minehead, the rest of the UK is fucked.
Yeah.
If there is snow in Minehead, everyone else is absolutely had it.
Yeah, no one's fucking got there. There's nobody there.
I'll be there.
Last time, wouldn't it?
Mate, I tell you what, whichever route that we took, or I took, with Gob in the navigator's chair, from the Premier League at Exeter to Minehead, if there's so much as half an inch of snow on that route, people are bollocks.
When I did it with Jar a couple of years before, it was fucking lashing it down. It was horrid.
Certainly in the case we went.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. An interesting one at the weekend. We saw Stefan Belmont qualify as the first Swiss player to play at Ali Pali. Congratulations to him. But there was another point in there which I thought is topical. The fact that we saw Jimmy Van Schie and Jarno Bottenberg going very deep in this when Lakeside is only round the corner.
Yeah.
Now,
is there a question there?
What's your thoughts on that? Because once the draw has been done, you're committed to that tournament.
Not if your opportunity to play another one hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've seen people drawn in tournaments in the last couple of months and then go and play in something else. It happens,
even though the WDF did give players a deadline to accept your invitation or not. Yeah. Because we all know a player was going to leave it until the last minute and that opportunity wasn't there, was taken away from them. So all players had to sign their contract and accept their invitation by a certain date.
But that was the other way around, that wasn't it? So I just think,
10 times.
Go on.
The first round prize money at Alexandra Palace is 10 times the amount it is.
I understand why.
Is 10 times the amount it is in a Lakeside as it is.
I completely understand why. I'm just saying, is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, I say I completely understand.
I've got no problem. Well, yeah, I've got no problem with it. I think it's because realistically, like, you've got to be, in my opinion, a bit of a dick to sort of think someone wouldn't and shouldn't take advantage of that opportunity if they've, like, I know how into this are you? Like, how much are you on about? How much do you like darts and want to see people do well in it? And or how much are you just about empire building and building your own little thing? Because surely, if that opportunity comes up, you shake their hand and wish them the best of luck. Yeah. And if you can't do that, in my opinion, you're probably a bit of a tosser.
There is a change in the women's event as well. Paula Jacqueline is is in. And I'm not going to lie, that judged on Paula's record at Lakeside and seeing Paula Murphy's numbers, this could genuinely be one of the worst games we've ever seen at Lakeside.
Just there's no value in this game, but whoever makes it through second round, do you remember the Ashton game at the Indigo?
It's interesting. Anthony's loving it. Look, it could be a shocker.
Could be.
Well, you never know that one might play well.
I'm happy to be surprised.
I probably won't be. It will be horrific.
I'm happy for Paul to take me by surprise.
Yeah. We will preview Lakeside next week as well properly, so that's why we're not going to go into it too much today. ADC finals at the weekend. Congratulations to Andy Bolton winning the title. I didn't see much of it because I was at the Slam, but the bits I saw on social, it looked good.
Yeah, I didn't see much of it because I was working as well. So Dan, this one's on you.
I didn't see a great deal of it either because I've got kids and I've watched a lot of darts lately, so I had to make up some family time.
It was a solid last 8 lineup. Couple of early shocks in there. Pilgrim out first round. Brooks taking out Thomas Banks, only to lose to Charlie Martin. Looked great. Sold out crowd. Look, you don't have to tell me how great it is at the Super Series when that place is rocking properly, and it certainly looked like that. You saw a reaction from Bolton when he won it. The one thing I will say is that format needs to be bigger. They've played a Super Series best of 7 format for a national finals.
Yeah,
those games should have been longer, despite the fact that we'll get 7 of them in an afternoon. That's a conversation I think the Super Series and the ADC need to go away and have and look at for next year if they're going to host those finals again, which I think they should. It makes sense with the relationship those two have got. But for a tour finals, I'm pretty sure some of the tour events have longer formats. The finals need a substantial format.
It needs to feel, it needs to feel like a level beyond what they've done to qualify for it, doesn't it? You know, it needs to feel special. And I do think, it's a great concept. It's a great competition. It needs to create its own identity a little bit, not replicate other things. It needs to have something that makes it that tournament or that competition.
Which I'm pretty sure the ADC Global Championship has. So that has 2 weeks worth of what you'll typically see as a Super Series week, with the semi-finals from both of those weeks go into the second Sunday to play one big, long final or quarterfinals downwards. And I'm pretty sure those matches are of a longer format and length of match, and rightly so, because they're playing for serious amount of money. I think the winner's winning 25 grand. So that is where they are getting it right. I appreciate to do these finals on a Saturday, to then double stack them with a normal finals night as well, that you are limited by time a little bit in the afternoon to play 7 matches. But I do think that format should have been longer is the one thing I will say about that. The rest of the team smashed it there. Obviously, I wasn't there, unfortunately. I would have loved to have been involved with that. And the women's won the week before as well, where Gemma Hayter picked up the title. But yeah, let's get those players playing over longer formats, more drama, like they deserve.
Yeah. Also, the week before, don't worry, Chris, we're already on it. John Henderson completed the seniors Triple Crown, winning in Sunderland. And first of all, thoroughly deserved. Really, really good tournament, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it played out really well. Drama was decent. Obviously, all three of us were there for some, if not all of it. Martin Adams has played out of his skin to dispatch Macy, whereas Mengus for that at all.
What a game.
The format is brutal, isn't it, anyway? But he's done him an absolute kipper there. It was like watching Hendo's Adams' performance against Howson at the Tavern when he's taking out ton plus 150 pluses off the ceiling. Did Mace a kipper in the first set and just struggled going back. So, yeah, look, the standard as a whole was brilliant. Robert Thornton back somewhere close to his best after a struggle in Portsmouth and what have you. Richie Howson going out early. Big shock. What a performance that was by Tony O'Shea. But yeah, look, a really good end to the season on the TV events.
Yeah,
the best final. I think the best final we've ever seen on the World Senior stage. In certainly on one of the TV events, it was superb. Crowd was brilliant. The Friday night crowd was completely bonkers, absolutely mad. Really, really properly good fun. Chris, I was there both days, all day, every session. Don't know how you missed me. I'm quite. I'm not easy to miss.
Nice to see that. I'd say Robert Thornton back to his best. Nice to see those darts had taken a trip to the South Coast before he played.
Say again.
Nice to see Thornton's darts take a trip to the South Coast before he played. He said it in his interview as well, which was funny.
Yes. He had a lot on the floor at the Super Series that week before as well,
Yeah.
so I don't blame him. He was fed up with them falling out. He still throws quite a weighty dart. There's not as much behind it as there perhaps used to be, I think. There's a seniors tour for a reason. These guys aren't getting any younger. And once that happens, they start losing a bit of that muscle memory or that oomph and whatever. And
yeah,
he needs a bit of help now to keep him in the board. But some of the boards look battered because of it, but that's for the tournament director to decide. That day, I'm just the Twitter
guy. Which was good. Obviously, the last floor event winners at the weekend as well, Gob.
Yeah, really, really good. 2 winners on the floor. Derek Coulson completing a fantastic season. He's back at the Super Series this week as well, looking to get to Champions Week again because he did that last time out. It's been a fantastic 2024 for him. And wrapped up by a Jim Long win over Jim McEwen yesterday. Jim straight down to Portsmouth this evening. We are awaiting confirmation of the full 16 qualifiers, and I believe we might get some news on some invites in the next week or two.
Nice. Good stuff there. Right, we'll do a couple of questions then. So fire them in for us while we tell you what's going on. Obviously,
maybe 1 minute then if we're still.
Like Thornton was always good. Yeah, it was good though. So yeah, this week we have got a load of interviews dropping that we've pre-done and stocked up, which is good. So we have those coming for you. Then all the reaction from Minehead as it happens, which will be.
I can't stop laughing at the questions about the Sunderland venue. There's a good story. I got lost coming into the venue and I phoned him. He goes, go through the security barrier and turn right. The problem was I'd come into the opposite side of the venue and already driven through 3 of the fuckers.
Yeah, you come in from
everywhere. And I'm like, I'm off. See you later.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, come through. It was so, yeah, you were at the wrong security group banner, which was
driving in and out of lorries, reversing, and all sorts.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was a bit of a nightmare to find, but once you found it, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bob, yeah, every stage 2 match will be on PDCT from Minehead.
Yeah, I can tell you commentating on that as well if you'd like. It'll be Dan McCarthy and Paul Nicholson.
Cool. Also, Monday, Dan and Anthony will be on stream for the PDPA qualifier.
Yes.
We will be doing something with the draw as well, but we're going to have an internal chat after this to sort out what we're going to do. But we will have qualifier and draw reaction as it happens, which will be good. We also put out the Live Lounge Live from the Prince of Wales in Ilkeston. We've got some good guests lined up as well for you. We'll be drip feeding them out over the next week or so as well. Exciting times, boys.
There's lots going on, isn't there? It's very exciting.
Yeah, at the moment, there are 3 spots on the PDPA qualifier. Depending on the World Youth Final, there may be 4.
Ooh.
If Jan van Veen wins, there will be 4 spots on offer. Big Johnny live on Sky Sports News. Mark Webster and Wayne Mardle doing the draw. So that's all good. Look, you know Ali Pally is here when the draw's done. Any more guests lined up? We're working on some. Don't worry about that one. Is the world's the most open ever? No.
No.
For me, because I still only think a handful can win it. Although there'll be close games and there'll be upsets, I still think only... I don't think we'll have a surprise winner of the World Championships.
I agree. I think that's very...
Oh, there's a good question here. That was the conversation a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Well, I think both me and Jack are very comfortable in publicly saying that we will be in Minehead. I'm not sure.
Army.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the other 2 members of our little
Quartet
are comfortable announcing to their other halves that both Jarlath and Cam are coming to.
I'm saying, if not, it's the same 4 that went last year. So come on, boys, sort it out.
we will be there.
Remember that? We're about to edit my vlog where I went, "Oh, we've just looked at the prices for next year, and it's nearly all sold out. How on earth would we know that?"
Yeah, because you'd already booked it at that point.
Yeah, we knew that because I was sat in because while he was filming that vlog, I was sat with the lady in the shop, getting it booked.
Better to ask for forgiveness than permission, wasn't it?
Well, I just see what it was for me. It was the pressure. I said, look, problem was, if we hadn't have booked it there and then, it's sold out, isn't it? You can't go. So I had to make a decision there and then. And also, you have to understand, I was making a decision where I'd probably been drinking since, well, for at least 4 hours. Therefore, I'm not responsible for that decision, am I? It doesn't count. I shouldn't have to be responsible for a decision made at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because obviously I'm pissed.
There is that. Right, last couple. Who do we fancy to get through the tour card holder qualifier?
Oh, man. It's like saying who do you fancy to come through Q school, isn't it? It's a complete lottery.
Right. This may be heart versus head, but I am going for Graham Usher, Robert Owen, and Steve Lennon.
Well,
When the draw comes out, they'll all be in the same half.
There will be a Steve there, but the Steve will be beaten. And then who else? Roby John Rodriguez, Steve Beaton, and Dylan Slevin.
Are you going for Gob?
Keen Barry.
He's already there.
Is he?
Dev Tour.
What? Oh, what? He's on white on the World Championship race. Well, fuck it. I've nailed it then. 1 from 1.
Winning.
In that case, I can get my other 3 in. Steve Beaton, Simon Whitlock, Adrian Lewis.
No one's picking Adam Smith now.
There's one in the chat room. Part of me would love to see Adam Smith Neil qualify.
I mean, let's be honest, it'd be piss funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Shithousery. The highest order.
Again, we manifest chaos.
Yeah.
It would be funny. Everyone, thank you very much. I tell you what, I've absolutely loved today's show. It was incredible stuff. Great to have Russ on as well. But as we said, plenty coming up here. Loads of interviews dropping this week. Some really, really good ones. We are almost at 40k. We are under 500 away now, folks. So if you haven't yet, make sure you drop us a like and subscribe. All social media platforms as well, including a new one. You can now find us on Blue Sky as well. So we have you covered across everything as always. Like I say, this will be audio only in the morning for you all as well. But plenty coming up. The last tournament before the World Championship this weekend. Online darts, we have you covered. I've been Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, Dan Simpson. What a live lounge, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
Bye.